Hello everyone, this is episode number 20 of G.GOES Live. Tonight I'm solo with you to discuss topics with S, topics of choice. First of all, on this milestone, this is the episode number 20, as I said, I want to thank you all for being always with me on the show, asking your questions, following up, asking questions later on through private messages and stuff like that. I went out 2 weeks ago and I was really surprised. It's been a long time I haven't been out, and I was like really surprised. Everyone was telling me about G.GOES Live, and I didn't know that it's too appreciated by so many people now. And I really want to thank you on this occasion. Episode number 20 weeks ago I started this, can you imagine? I want to thank you for always supporting the show, always giving me ideas, and I want to thank all my guests, from Gunther to Stamina to Nesta to Jason Kakush, Atomic Circus, Bass, Jack Sleeman, Majam, everyone who has been here as a guest. Thank you so much. And of course, the biggest thank you is for you guys. You're always with me, and I see regular names popping up on the screen and asking and just, getting involved in the show somehow. Let me start by Hassan Kariki. He's asking me about DJ performance using Ableton. I have a show on Proton Radio, okay? This is a radio show. When you mix a radio show, this is called a mixtape, or some people call it just a monthly mix or a promotional mix or whatever. When you do a mix tape or a set, like the Global Underground stuff, and this is a CD mixed by X and Y and Z. Those CDs, you guys, those compilations, all the radio shows, or most of them, they are not mixed live. So the DJ doesn't go to the studio and press record and record the set. It doesn't happen in this way, okay? So when you want to record a professional mix, whether to use for demo or whether to use for I don't know, for your radio show or etc., you usually tend to go and do it in an arrangement way. So it's not like you go on your DJ set, you press record in the digital recorder and you start recording. It doesn't really happen this way if you're aiming for a professional mix. So let me share my way, my secret, because you're asking me. It's not the best way to do your mixtape, but I can only talk about myself since I am the G.GOES Live presenter and you're asking me. Look, what I do actually is I use Ableton, okay? Ableton software, like Hassan said, DJ performance using Ableton. Ableton software or mixtapes is a software that can do a lot of things. And one of those things is mixing your mixtape or playing live, DJing live, etc., etc., etc. So what you can do with this software, you can actually do something called arrangement mixing. Okay, so that's not live mixing where you have to finish your mix in 1 hour, and if you want to take a break you can't, or if you do a mistake you cannot fix it, etc., etc., etc. What you do in the Ableton mixing, basically, you open this beautiful software, which I am the exclusive dealer in Lebanon, and I'm so fortunate. Thank you, Ableton, for always doing this business with me. It's been 4 years now, and we're doing so many plans for the future. What you do is actually you use Ableton software to create some arrangements in your tracks, okay? So that's not live recording, like you press on live, like I'm doing the live show now. You can always undo things. It's not a live recording, it's a platform, it's a software where you can just paint your mix somehow or engineer your mix somehow. And what you do actually is you select your music and you go to something called a sequencer, okay? You go to the arrangement section of Ableton Live and you just puzzle your mix. So you have a track 1, with the first track, for example, and then next to under it you have track 2, and you find the good point of mixing. I'm not discussing the ways of mixing in this show, but you find the correct point to mix, and you just drag your track and have it parallel with the point of mixing. And basically this is something you should really understand, and you should really work on a lot. You should really understand the structure of music, so you know where is the best place or the best point or the best phrase to mix at, because nowadays it's not about beat matching anymore, because in Ableton you have to warp your music so it's always beat matched. It's not about beat matching, it's not about key mixing also. It's not about, because key mixing is too advanced, but I'm not saying it's all about key mixing, no, because I had a question about key mixing. No, it's about phrase mixing. If you do not understand the structure of the music, if you do not have any idea about how the music is produced, if you do not know about phrases, bars, breaks, etc., you might be mixing in a point where everything is okay but the phrase mixing. So you might have some things that are still saturated in the mix while you are bringing in a new track with added elements at each 2 phrases or 4 phrases, etc. So you might have a lot of traffic jam in the frequencies. So my advice to you is to use Ableton if you want to present a proper demo. Now, of course, some promoters or club owners, they want to test you. So this is kind of cheating. It's not actually, because DJing is not about playing in clubs only. DJing is about presenting a mix, whether you're playing for people driving a car, or whether you're playing for people having sex, or whether you're playing for people who are just sitting there on a sunset and listening to music on their iPhone. Anyway, what you should do is you should really focus on creating a perfect blend, a perfect mix, and to do that and post it online, keeping it in your portfolio, etc., 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 use Ableton, because Ableton is a software that can have you engineer your mix without any live recording. You just puzzle your tracks and do automation. So what is automation? Automation is that you draw some envelopes, we call them envelopes. If you want to push the fader up, for example, in a certain period of time, you draw a line, an ascending line, and on volume, for example, and Ableton will start reading different values, and it will move the fader automatically. And if you don't like it, you can just change how you drew the envelope. It's too perfect. So there is no mistake, there is no room for mistake. If you don't like the mix, you can just change the way you mixed it by drawing a different envelope. This envelope acts as your action on the mixer, okay? So that's how you engineer your mix. If you don't like it, you can listen to it, because you're not recording live. Again and again and again I say this, you're not recording live. If you record a mistake, it's recorded. You have to repeat the recording again. No. If you just move the fader fast enough, for example, and you feel that it was moved in a fast way, you can go back and just draw a different envelope that is commanding Ableton to move the fader slower. Okay, so you're not actually recording live. And at the end of the mix, you can click on File, Export, and it will export your mix with all the automations and with everything that you did. Now, let's say you were working on a set, and at one point you got bored, or you had to use the toilet or whatever. You can simply save your project, because you're not yet in render mode. You're just engineering it, okay? So there is no live recording. You're not on a deadline. You're not followed by a lot of chaos of thinking and stress and etc. You're just there sitting at home and engineering your mix. That's it. You can continue the next day, the third day. After 2-3 years, you can go back to the same mix, remove one track, add a track to replace it, and do a different automation and record a new set. It's so simple, and this is one of the most important courses I give at Per-vurt. It's called LVDJ 201, which is Live DJing 201. It's not 101, it's not 102, it's 201. This is the puzzle mixing. We call it a promo mixing course. Now, you might be asking, what is 101 and 102 in live DJing? Because that's a question also by Hassan. When you want to DJ in a club using Ableton, like G.GOES, for example, a very good friend of mine. He does sometimes mastering for my label. He's a very genius artist, and he has a replug, the replug label. G.GOES, for example, he uses Ableton in the club to mix. Also, I'm sure you know Adel Ghandour, Big Al, he also uses Ableton to mix. And sometimes I used Ableton to mix. It's only mixing, you know, it's not performance, it's mixing, because Ableton can be used for mixing. You can add your tracks in the session view, and you can just have a small cheap MIDI controller, or you can use your keyboard on the laptop with mouse or etc., and you can just mix your music. Now, I got a question from someone who was asking about the advantages and disadvantages of using Ableton for mixing, and I can relate to that, and I can say, if you really want to only mix using Ableton, like blending two tracks together, I do not really advise you to use Ableton Live. Now, Ableton, don't kill me. No, what I can advise you is that you use Tractor for that, if you just want to do DJing. Because Ableton is not really for DJing. DJing is just blending 2 or 3 tracks together. That's it's easier and more flexible with a DJ software. Because in Ableton, one of the disadvantages is that you need to warp your music. And that's a very long subject, by the way, but let me give you a small tip about it, or a small summary about it. Warping a track, what is it? Some people ask me, what is this keyword warping? Look, in Ableton Live, when you want to only DJ, it means you want to mix 2 songs or 3 songs or whatever, you need to prepare your music to be able to work on a grid system, okay? It's not a magic. In Tractor and Rekordbox, there is a technology for the software to analyze the music and fix all the variation of tempo, so it will bring the beats back on the grid. Let's pause here, because I need to explain something really important for you guys who are DJs or who are willing to become DJs. Look, if you are producing a track on a software, on Ableton or Acid, Logic, etc., Fruity Loops, etc., you're using a sequencer. It's a digital technology. You're using a computer to sequence your beats, okay? So when you are using a software to produce, you are actually layering your stuff, your beats, on a grid system. So what is a grid system? A grid system is a system of lines that are on the same distance from each other, and that's what the BPM is all about. Let's say you're working on 120 BPM, beats per minute. So each quarter bar has to be on a distance, okay? So your beats, actually your kick drums, if you're doing house music, of course, they will be layered on top of each 1/4 grid. Is it hard to understand? If it's hard, let me know. I can explain, okay? That's what I teach about. So when you produce using Ableton, there is no room for mistake unless you do triplets or unless you do swings and grooves, etc. But if you're really using the Ableton as the normal sequencer, I hate this hat, by the way. If you're using Ableton as a normal sequencer, you have to layer your beats on each 1/4. Because why? Because a bar consists of 4 beats, right? So there is a line, okay, a very straightforward line on each beat. And this is when you double click and you add a beat. So there's no room for mistake. It's not like 60s music where the drummer was recording live and sometimes he's, you know, he's tipsy like I am now. He's drunk like not now half of it. But if he's playing drums, for example, he might not be perfect all the time. He might not be on the metronome all the time. So he might miss some fractions of seconds, etc. So he might not be, you know, on the same exact metronome. He's not a robot, he's a human being. But with technology, when you're producing inside the software, you're a robot. okay? Unless, of course, you use swings and grooves, etc. So when you are using a software, a digital software, you are with consecutive beats, same distance from each other. So there is no room for mistake. There's no room for anything to be, you know, on a different tempo or etc., etc., etc. Sam Dabul, I love you. And let me tell you something. When you use this software, the Ableton Live software, you can make perfect sequence of beats and drums and melodies, etc., etc., etc. But if you are going to be DJing in Ableton, not producing, okay? When you take your track from Ableton as a producer, let's say, and you render it from a software edition, an ALS, which is Ableton Live Session project, to a wave file. So that's the mix down of everything. You get a wave file so that you can, of course, share it or play it, or you know, I wanted to say fuck it, but my mind's fucked up now. So, so if you render this as wave, okay, you can have it as an audio format, okay? And when you do that, that's fine. You still have the beats on the grid and everything is perfect. But when you bring the music, your music or the music from other producers, you want to DJ in Ableton, okay? You take the WAV file or the MP3 file or whatever and you import those files inside Ableton. What happens now? This is when you convert a file from being in MP3 format to PCM, that's pulse code modulation format, and this is when you start having like the beats will not be stable anymore, will not be warped. That's the keyword of Ableton. They won't be quantized, they won't be aligned with the consecutive grid that Ableton gave you where you were producing the track, okay? That's when you need to do something called warping, and this takes time. It's not easy. It's not, you know, it's not fast to do. So if you are willing to DJ, don't use Ableton Live. I'm telling you from now, that's my honest advice. Although I have to tell you, use Ableton. No, don't use it. Use Traktor, because I'm also the exclusive dealer for native instruments. If you are going to do performance, and you want to just do some crazy stuff with playing loops, samples, or you want to dissect your own production into many pieces, that's when you can also use Ableton to do that. And by the way, I forgot to tell you that Etienne Chami, he's gonna be with me also as a guest. He's a very good artist who can talk a lot about live performance. So I will invite him. I did already and he accepted. He will be with me sometime soon, maybe next week, by the way. He has to answer me back tomorrow. Anyway, so what I'm telling you, the summary of all this is that if you want to DJ, use Traktor, because those softwares, Traktor and Rekordbox and all those softwares, they have the technology to just fix the mistake of conversion. So when you bring in an MP3 file to a software, it will be converted directly to WAV. That's when you're converting from MP3 to PCM again, and this will fuck up your grid system. So you will have an addition of few percentage of tempo, and the track will drift from time to time. That's why in the heart of a CD player or a multiplayer like Pioneer XDJ or CDJ or whatever, you have a jog wheel. You have this jog wheel. Why do you have a jog wheel? You have a jog wheel so that you can just push the track forward or backward in time so that it can match with the second track. Why? Because the track, when it is converted from wave to MP3, or when it's also converted from a format to a format, it will start having an unstable, I'm not into my diction now, when it comes to grid. So you will have some addition of tempo, and if you listen to the track, you will not hear any difference. You will not hear that it's going faster, it's going slower, it's going faster, it's going slower, because that change is very minimal. But when you are mixing it with another track, you will hear that the tracks, they are parallel together, and at one point they start to drift. Why? Because one of the tracks, or maybe both, they start to have their beats not aligned with a consecutive grid anymore. So back to our topic, Hassan and Alex. If you want to do your mixtape, my advice to you is to go into Ableton and do the arrangement mixing. Because in arrangement mixing, not only you're not limited by a timeline, you're not limited by a deadline, you're not limited by the very act of recording, which if you do a mistake, you have to record again, etc., etc. But you are actually engineering your mix. You are drawing automation. Maybe you are, I don't know, maybe you are moving the fader so fast in live performance and that was recorded and you cannot change that. No, in Ableton you can still fix that mistake, because moving things forward, backward, delays, reverbs, EQs, volume, etc., those are all engineered. You draw an envelope. This envelope is a command you tell the software to do, and it will do it according to how you engineer it, how you draw it, okay? If you don't like it, you can draw it in a different way until you're satisfied. You can hear it for so fucking many times, and then when you're satisfied, it's only a matter of pressing on File, Render. So what is render? Render is Ableton will read all the information and it will save a WAV file to you as the final mix down. Wow, what an interesting subject. So that was my summary, Hassan and Alex. If you want to do performance in Ableton, as in recording your mixtape, use Ableton because it will be a perfect mix. And if you want, go to my SoundCloud and listen to the first spot something. I added maybe 4 mixes of my best mixes, where you can hear a 1 hour of a journey. And if you can detect the time I was moving from a track to another, come to me and I will give you $100,000 if you can prove it. Okay, so that was my answer to your question. And by the way, I have to tell you something. If you want to DJ it at a club using Ableton Live, you have to go through something called warping, okay? That's the disadvantage of using Ableton as a host. And I will tell you about advantages of Ableton also. But one of the disadvantages of Ableton for performance, I mean for DJing in a club, is that you must prepare your music. You must warp your music. So you have to do it manually. There is no automatic warping like Rekordbox and Native Instrument Tractor, but you have to go back to your track and fix this alignment of beats, bring them back to the grid so that you can play them on a certain common grid in your workflow, okay? That's for live. But if you want to do performance, performance is not about getting an MP3 file and putting it into Ableton and mixing another MP3 file with it. It's not about that. By the way, MP3 files will be converted to WAV on a 32-bit platform. So there will be an addition of volume, and Ableton will re-synthesize the frequencies. That's why you have some fucked up processes when you bring an MP3 file inside Ableton. And I can discuss this into so many details, mathematically, physically, not biologically, because now Elikik will be horny, but I can explain this some other time. Anyway, summary of all this, you can use Ableton to do your promo mix. It's perfect, it's professional. Go to my SoundCloud, you can hear some examples. And if you want to just DJ mixing 2 tracks or more in Ableton in a club, I don't advise you to do that. Use Ableton, use Rekordbox or Tractor, because they have a technology for DJing that will do this fix of drifting BPM, which is the normal drift that is caused by conversion from MP3 to PCM again. So let's move to another question. Guys, I talk too much, by the way. Let's move to another question, which is plugins. Plugins, Hassan, I can only advise you one thing. It's going to be too short. Don't look. I have in this computer, by the way, I have 9 terabytes of samples and plugins, and now I'm willing to format the fuck out of it and just use few plugins. One of them is Arturia. a V collection. Arturia V collection is a collection of 17 plugins, emulations of old vintage synthesizers. Everyone from the top artists in the world, they use it, like Jean-Michel Jarre, like Deadmau5, all of them, they use these plugins. And of course, Mahmoud, he said Xfer. Yes, Xfer, they are also sponsors. I missed to say that I'm not promoting, but you know, that was my step to contact the guys because I believe in the plugins. I contacted Arturia plugins 2 years ago, and we signed a deal. They give us 50% on V collection. It's 500 euros. You get 17 plugins, Mini Moog and Jupiter and etc. Crazy plugins, and they are 95% close to the original sound of the original devices. So we get 50% off to our students, but you know, if you're a customer, we can still do that somehow. But don't tell Arturia. This video is public, they can know, and they would love to support you on this. I'm sure they have this positive, you know, energy for you to use it, because you know, Arturia plugins, they can change your production career. So Hassan, Arturia plugins, like our friends now on the show, they are saying Xfer. Yes, Xfer, they are also sponsors, official sponsors for Per-vurt School, and they offer 40%. And you have also Sonic Academy, they also offer 30%, sorry, 40%. Sound Toys, they offer 50%. And Plugin Boutique, this is the most, this is the biggest platform for buying plugins. They offer up to 50% only to Per-vurt customers and students. And we have a question by Alex Raheb. Alex, he's not asking questions, by the way. He's giving me ideas on what to talk about. He's saying, number one, the future of standard club DJ gear, especially with the release of many CDJs like all-in-one controllers by Pioneer, of which also support DVS. Okay. Thank you, Mahmoud, for sharing this. Alex, I'm telling you something. I talked about this a lot, by the way, previously in previous G.GOES live shows. With the technology nowadays, yes, you can actually have a one controller or a one machine that can do everything. I'm with that. I'm not against it. I'm with any idea, any way of mixing. I was talking to my students last week. They were asking me about the same thing, and I can tell you this confidently, that I don't give a shit as a crowd, as someone who's going there to listen to good music and dance and whatever, which I don't do. But I don't really advise, I don't really look at what the DJ is using. I don't care, okay? And if you are a DJ, I also give you this advice. Don't focus on what the club owner or the promoter or the other DJ is judging you about. Don't look at those people sitting next to you and watching you play, okay? Those really don't matter. What matters is the dance floor, okay? If you mix with vinyl, if you mix with CD players, if you mix with controllers, if you mix with MIDI, if you mix with anything, it's just presenting a perfect flow. And of course, we can discuss a lot of other things. So many other things are more important. Some people are just like, you know, philosophically trying to tell you things. Don't listen to these people. Like, oh, you use sync. Oh, you use CD player. Oh, you use XDJ. Oh, you use laptop. Oh, you use so... Man, those people don't matter. Those are like people who are bugging the fuck out of your life. Don't listen to these people. I can share something with you now. When I was playing at BO18, last time I played there, at 7 a.m., I got tips, I got drunk, okay? Who doesn't? Okay, I got drunk. And at one point, I was like not focusing too much on beat matching anymore, okay? And I've been DJing since I was 15 years old. I can beat match in maybe 50 milliseconds. I can beat match. It's not about beat matching anymore. But at that point, at that scenario, I was drunk. And I had to press on sync because I did not want to present a bad mix. That's what matters. It doesn't matter if the DJ next to me is judging me. Fuck him. It doesn't matter if you're using an iPhone or an application, or if you're using an XDJ or a record box laptop with you, or tractor, it doesn't matter if you're syncing or not. Really doesn't matter. For the crowd to enjoy you, you should present a perfect mix. Perfect mix with beat matching, phrase matching, and harmony matching. That's it. Of course, energy, flow, and etc. So I am with technology. You can use sync, you can use software, you can use laptop, you can use iPhone, you can use application. Use anything, man. Use anything. Just present a good mix. And we can talk about what a good mix is all about. I talked about this a lot in previous sessions. He said also, is it really enough for you to be a club DJ without having any knowledge in producing nor having your own remix mashups? Now, Alex, look, I have to tell you something really important here. Because you have a lot of DJs nowadays, and because everyone can be a DJ in 1 second, okay? If you go and download music from the internet or buy music as they are, and you go and play, what makes you stand out? This is a big question. What makes you stand out? If you have the same tracks and someone else can get the same tracks, what makes you stand out? Beat matching? No. Sync. A 5-year-old kid can do a better beat match than you if he's pressing sync and you're trying to do the beat matching like a stupid person, losing time on stage and risking your mix and letting people be annoyed by the stupid mentality of yours. Yes, that's a stupid mentality of yours. If you are against sync and you're not into beat matching perfectly, then I tell you, you are not worth the responsibility. If I'm a club owner, I will fire you. Seriously, simply. I don't want people to be at risk of a drift in the CD. I'm not saying that you are a bad DJ. I'm saying if you are a great DJ and the fucking track drifted, I don't want my customer to be listening to horses. Pop, 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 pop. No, I want a perfect mix. Sorry, man. If you're using beat matching or not, I don't give a fuck. I'm not here to judge you. It's technology. Go forward. Some people are too philosophical. Yani, at some point, I will have to use tissue to cry. Don't talk a lot of philosophy and poems about DJing. A DJ should present a good mix. That's it. That's the title of a DJ. Whether you're using beat matching, vinyl, record box, tractor, Ableton, sync, application, or if you're using my ass, okay, just fucking mix properly. That's it. That's all I can say. Okay? I hate when people start to say, oh, you're using sync. Oh, you're using, I don't know. Just ask those people, what do you use? They will tell you, I use CDJ 2000, but I don't touch the sync. The fucking CDJ 2000 is part of this technology, you asshole. The CDJ 2000, it has a cue function. It has a screen. It has a USB input. It has a jog wheel. It's not a fucking vinyl. If you're using a CDJ and you're against sync, it means something that I cannot understand. It means you hate pickles, but you eat a lot of salt. The water retention is the same in your body, okay? Whether you eat pickles or you eat salt. If you hate the water retention, stop eating pickles and stop eating salt, okay? Use the technology, it's there for you, it's made for you, and the CDJ is already an advanced technology. A cue button, the cue button is not available in the vinyl player. Now, I can completely understand someone coming from a vinyl perspective and telling you not to use sync. Yes, I can understand, but I might disagree because I am with technology. But someone coming from using a CDJ with cue and loop and pitch control and etc., and screen and USB and telling you not to use sync, I cannot understand it. I cannot understand it. So anyway, back to you, Alex. Use technology, yes. It doesn't matter. Don't listen and don't be judged by anyone. Use any way you want for you to be able to present a fucking perfect mix. Be easy. Life is life is easier than this. And music, by the way, is complete freedom. Music is freedom. It's not, you don't have to go by the fucking book, man. Life is easy. Music is life, then music is easy. That's it. Be easy, man. Be easy. You made me now lose my temper. Anyway, let's move to another question. But before that, I have a comment here. From my experience as a DJ, the crowd does not care about how you DJ and what you use. مهم يكون الجو والعان. Thank you, Walid Sarkis. Walid Sarkis said it. And that's why I postponed Jad Matar and I postponed other people from their questions, because I have to talk about these things. Let's move into something else. How exploring different genre can greatly enhance your performance as a DJ and open up new perspectives on constructing sets and incorporating new ideas in them. Of course, Alex. And by the way, in the DJ course at Per-vurt, we teach people to mix different genre. We teach people to mix hip hop, to mix house, and there's one guy, I think he's with us tonight, Ramzi Shamas. He was like, can I skip the session where you want to teach us how to mix hip hop? I cannot stand it. So I was like, no, that's part of the course. If you don't like hip hop, don't like it. I don't like it too. I do. But you have to explore and you have to always be ready to mix any kind of or any genre of music. We have a question also, which is harmonic mixing versus mixing by the energy of the tracks. How to keep the balance? Well, that's, Alex, this is a very important question, by the way. Mixed in Key is also a sponsors for Per-vurt. They only sponsor 5 schools in the world, and they sponsor Per-vurt. I'm lucky. I can say, but also we offer a lot of things. So I think we are in a position to take the sponsorship. We've been together for 4 years now, right? So Mixed in Key is a very important software where you can, it will analyze the keys of your music, and this is when you mix in key. What does it mean? You mix in key, it means you can select the music that are compatible in key, and you can make a perfect blend. What is key? A key is a combination of 7 notes. A producer, when he mixes a song, he only touches 7 notes on the keyboard. I talked a lot about this, by the way. He only plays 7 notes out of the 12 notes in an octave. So all the other 5 notes in an octave will be a disaster. If you touch one of the notes, if you're playing keyboard, for example, on top of a Michael Jackson song that is an F minor is a combination of 7 notes. If you touch any of the 5 notes in the octave, it will sound like shit, بتنشز, okay? So if you bring in a track as a DJ that is not compatible, that has those 5 notes that are clashing, beat matching is perfect, mixing technique is perfect, isolation is perfect, fading in is perfect, fading out is perfect, everything is perfect, but you will be left with harmony clash, and that's something really bad. Now, to be able to present a perfect mix, you should, of course, mix in key. What does it mean? It means you should select the music based on their key. So some keys are compatible and some keys are not, and this is a guide for you to select the best music by key. Now, of course, mixed in key comes at the end. You should not just use mixed in key and mix blindly. You should be organized. You should know what tracks suit together. You should have a folder that represents a certain flow. Don't ever mix or don't ever categorize your music by style. Never. Like tech house folder, deep house folder, progressive house folder. Never do this, because tech house Look, my track on John Digweed's label on Bedrock, I signed a track on Bedrock in 2015, 2016. On Beatport, they said this is tech house. On iTunes, they said this is chill out. On DJ Download, they said this is electronica. And on other websites, they said this is I don't know what style. And I disagree with all of them. So don't say, okay, I have a folder which is called Deep House, and I have all my Deep House tracks in it. You know what Deep House is? It's a deep fucking house. It's buried under the water or underground. Deep House, you can play Deep House at the roof. You can play Deep House underground. You can play Deep House at Uber House. You can play Deep House at the beach. They are all Deep House. If you should not name your folder as Deep House. You should name the folder after a vibe. My folder, if I show it to you, will laugh. I have a folder called BO18. That's a secret. I've never shared this before. I have a folder in my own USB called BO18 / Saturday night or Stamina. Because when Stamina was in BO18, on Saturday it was a different vibe than on Friday. So I had a folder called BO18 - Stamina - a name of a track, a name of a label, like I forgot the name of the label, and something else, a keyword, dark or whatever. You can name anything you want. And I had another folder called BO18 - Ziad, because Ziad plays on Friday and he plays different style of music, some keywords, etc. -- and maybe a name of a track or a name of a label. It doesn't matter. No one would look at your folder, and if they do, fuck it. What matters is that you know what's inside the folder, not track by track, but the whole vibe. You cannot name a track Tech House. Man, Tech House, you can listen to Tech House in Ibiza, and you can listen to Tech House in the deepest clubs in Berlin. One of them is so happy and tribalish and percussionist, and one of them is too dark and too gloomy. They cannot fit together. What if you're buying music from Beatport, Tech House, and if you want to go play a gig, you go to this folder Tech House, and you choose 2 tracks, Tech House, Tech House. One of them is too dark, and one of them is too fucking happy. So that's when you are schizophrenic, and that's when you fuck up the mind of the people. It shouldn't be organized by style anymore. It should be organized by vibe. Name the folder however you want. It matters that every single track in this folder is compatible together. That's how you should do it. And back to your question, harmonic mixing versus mixing the energy. Harmonic mixing comes last, okay? You should be organized in vibe. So you must be sure that in this folder, all the tracks can be played together. All of them. Now your job as a DJ is when you are live on stage, you can start selecting the tracks based on key, based on how harmonic they are together. Not based on the title called Tech House. You can play a fucking Tech House at 122 BPM, and there's another Tech House on 128 BPM, and they both are from different planets. Mixed in key, even if you mix them in key, one of them is F minor and the other one is F minor, they will not sound good together. So you should not take mixed in key into as a priority. I mean, you should always do your job as organizing your database based on vibe, and then inside this folder where all the tracks can be played together, you can go to mixed in key and choose the tracks wisely. And of course you should know your tracks also. It's not a magic. Mixed in key is really very important, but it should not come at the first priority. It shouldn't. Mixed in key should not be like, okay, if I have 7A with 7A, they are together. What if you're playing a trance 7A with a hip-hop 7A? Do they go together? Fucking no. You should do your job at organizing your files in folders Those folders shouldn't be named after some styles, and those folders should be named after a vibe. What's the vibe of this folder? What does it make you remember? What does it relate to your life? For example, I had a folder, I named the folder after Jason, JK, when he used to play at a rooftop in Hamra at a hotel. I forgot the name of this hotel rooftop, okay? I used to go there and I used to hear a specific style that only Jason used to play. And when I was buying music from Beatport, from this style, I created a folder named after this guy, because this guy reminds me of this specific style, and this is how I relate to, you know? So if you go to this folder and listen to all the tracks, you will hear the tracks that are from the same family. This is when you start using mixed in key, after you do this job. Those tracks are from the same family, they might not be from the same key. If you do a perfect beat match, perfect style, perfect phrase match, perfect EQing, perfect fade in, fade out, perfect effect, there is one thing that's bugging you, which is the harmony clash. And that's when you should use mixed in key, because mixed in key will tell you which songs are produced under the same key, which songs are using the same notes on the fucking keyboard. That's mixed in key. And energy level in mixed in key, yes, mixed in key, it gives you the energy level, but I don't really believe in this. This is, even if it's accurate, you should really leave something for you. Otherwise, you will be a robot. Energy level 10 with energy level 10, style this, style that, key this, key that, you mix them. That's up to you anyway, I'm not against anything. So let's move into something else. A question from Paul Grills. Discussions about mobile DJing versus club DJing versus touring wedding DJing. Look, if you're a mobile DJ, you should, I think by that time, if you're a mobile DJ, you should have your own signature, okay? And when you go play at some place, they book you because of your style. So that's a mobile DJ. You can travel, or you can be a local mobile DJ, not necessarily an international mobile DJ. And if you're a club DJ, you should abide by the rules. Otherwise, don't be, okay? And some club DJs, they are also club DJs that are also managing the music in the DJ. So for example, I remember when Stamina and Gunther used to be at BO, they were also managing the music there. So they were the music directors. No one would tell them what to play, or no one would tell them what not to play. They create the fucking flow. They create the fucking signature in the club. And that's when a DJ can also create the signature of the place. And if you are a touring DJ, touring is also a mobile DJing, a mobile DJ. If you tour around the world, don't think it's easy. I've never done it before, but it's too hard. And when you tour, you are going to be living chaos in your life. Wedding DJ is a DJ who is also playing some tracks that the people chose, okay, like the wife and the, I don't know what, I'm not into these things anyway, but a wedding DJ must be in complete harmony with the people hiring him to do this wedding. Otherwise, it's a fucking wedding. It's not a night. It's a wedding. It's a night when the husband and the wife will remember forever. Okay, so he must be in complete harmony with them, and it's not any. There's nothing wrong with being all of them. Look, Dixon. You know Dixon. He does weddings. Dixon, the #1 DJ in the world, he also does weddings. So we have Eric Francis saying, a session dedicated to vinyls and turntables and why new DJs should start on vinyls. It might be against your belief, no, but this is an important topic that could be helpful on so many levels and might save the scene. All the best for your show. Great idea. Rami, thank you for sharing. Eric, part of my answer to you will be about vinyl, and the second part, it will be merged with my answer to many of you guys who posted on my thread about tonight's session, talking about the scene. I will postpone this from Roland Bouzakhem and from Jad Mattar and some other people talking about the scene and the bazaar and stuff like that. I will answer you all in at once, okay? But Eric, let me tell you something. Vinyl is vinyl, CD is CD, USB is USB, digital is digital, etc. is etc. Again, then and again and again. Whether you're using vinyl or CD or mix or tape, or whether you're using iPhone or application or Tractor or Ableton or software or anything, your job as a DJ is to present a perfect mix. Okay, a perfect mix means mix that is beat matched, harmony matched, phrase matched, no clashes in frequencies, no distortion, blending, like, you know, very subtle effects, etc. That's a perfect mix to me. If you know how to make people happy, then you're a good DJ. What is your job as a DJ anyway? If you're a DJ broadcasting a live show from your bedroom, I cannot write the rules. You write the rules, okay, of your own bubble, of your own zone. Now, when you are a DJ hired by a club, why do they hire you as a DJ? To show your muscles using vinyl, or show your muscle using beat matching, or show your muscles using performance, or playing on synthesizers and do all those crazy things? No. They hire you because they want you to present a perfect mix and create an environment for the crowd to keep on dancing, having a good time, ordering more alcohol, and that's it. That's business. Now, vinyl is very important, okay? Vinyl is I'm not gonna say the essence of DJing, because there was something else before, but vinyl is very important. It was a stage, and it's still, and vinyls are now time coded, so you can use them to control software, etc. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not a must for a beginner to learn vinyl, okay? So, what? Is Marwan with you? No, no one is with me, guys. I'm alone. So my answer to you, Eric, vinyl is one way, it's a tool, okay, of mixing. The tool is not important at all. What's important, this is my opinion. You have different opinion. I'm not saying that my opinion is written in the Bible or whatever. My opinion is my opinion. You can take it or you can reject it. It doesn't matter, okay? Really, it doesn't matter to you anyway. You can have a different opinion. Me, all of me, with all my experience, I don't matter to what you believe. And you also don't matter to what other people believe, etc., etc., etc. So what matters is what someone perceives, okay? I perceive it in this way. A laptop or a software or a CD player or X-DJ or etc., etc., etc. Those are all tools, okay? Tools for what? Tools for showing tools for not showing a talent of being able to mix 40 tracks in 30 minutes. That was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. Nowadays, DJing, when you want to mix music or when you want to perform, it's about you controlling a certain mood, a certain gig. What is a gig? You're controlling the crowd. Can you imagine you playing for 20,000 people and you have the authority to just push the fader down and just shut the music? That's a big fucking response. You're controlling everything. You are the man behind the decks, okay? Now, if you are granted this responsibility and this opportunity to do it, what do? Do you want to show people, the 20,000 people, that you can mix 40 tracks in 30 minutes, or you can beat match. Anyway, there is no camera to show the people that you are beat matching. That was the, you know, it was the day of Jeff Mills in the 90s, 80s. It's no longer like this. People do not know what you're doing behind the decks. People do not care what you do behind the decks. People are going there, they buy ticket to have fun, to dance, and to go back home with a great memory of the whole night. You as a DJ, using any of the tools that are available in the market, whether this tool comes from the 70s or 60s or 50s or 80s or 90s or now, it doesn't give any difference to the crowd. Girls and boys, they want to go have fun and dance. The last thing they think of is what you're using. If you're using a vinyl player, it's okay. If you're doing what you're doing, if you're presenting a good mix, fine, use it. It's not a plus, it's not a minus. And if you are there as a kid who is using an iPhone or iPad to control the crowd, to present a great mix, non-stop harmonic with no mistakes, me as a crowd, I will salute the guy. I will tell the guy, thank you for presenting a great night for me, because you did not stop the music. You did not put yourself in risk to do a mix that is not beat matched. You did not put a tanjara on my head and snap on it. I don't know what this is in English. You did not make me listen to beats that are not matched. You did not make me listen to two vocals going together. And you did not let me hear some beats that are not, going in parallel. And you did not let me feel that two tracks are being mixed now because you want to show your muscles. Me as a crowd and me as the businessman behind this whole event, we do not give a fuck about you as a DJ and what you're doing. Please understand this. Now, if you are to be someone who wants to show your muscles, buy a GoPro, put it in your bedroom, put it on overhead, show the people your technique on how you're beat matching. Post it on YouTube for free, post it on Instagram and on Facebook for free, and I am the very first person who will share this video. But don't do this live if you're not capable of presenting a good mix. Now again, I'm not against, I'm with. If you're using vinyl because you're comfortable with it and you can present a good mix, do it. If you're comfortable using Tractor, do it. If you're comfortable using record box, do it. If you're comfortable using laptop, iPad, iPhone, synthesizers, do it. I want the people to have fun, and I want myself as a crowd to have fun and listen to no mistakes. Some people, when they are using vinyl and using a lot of, between brackets, stand-alone analog gear, those are the philosophical, the philosophers of the year the 90s and the 80s and the early 2000s. They are still alive now. Thank you for being alive, because you're pouring too much energy to the scene and you're letting those people who are using technology have more energy to go forward because they are better than you. I'm not saying they are better than you because they are using technology and you're not. No, I'm saying they are better than you because you are still in the old age and they are evolving into making more and more and more techniques on the mixer and on the players and on the laptop and stuff like that. it's something really, 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 really nice when I go watch people play mashups live. Look, I can launch a competition now for vinyl players or for CDJ players who don't use sync to do the same mashup of a 10 years old kid who's using a laptop, mixing 4 decks, mashing up in a perfect way 2 acapellas with 2 songs and 2, 3, 4, 5 loops from a sample library. Me, as someone teaching the foundation, by the way, you guys, you might have misunderstood something about me. I'd never teach anyone in my school to DJ using sync unless or after they know how to beat match manually, because that's a technology that you can never trust on stage. Maybe the sync button doesn't function anymore. What would you do? You will fuck up? Where did you learn? At Per-vurt? No, I would never do that. You must learn the beat, the foundation, the essentials of DJing before you move into, yes, taking the technology, not for granted, but taking it in, appreciating the technology and using it, because technology is there for you to expand and do more stuff. If you do not want to use it, it doesn't mean you're an arrogant person. No, I'm not saying this. It means you're stuck to a certain style, which I appreciate, but you're there. Other people are on a different level. It's not a vertical level, it's a horizontal level. No one is better than anyone else. It's just different. You're different than the other. Respect the other, and the others respect you, and that's how the scene will evolve. And I'm going to talk about this because some people ask me a lot about the scene and bazaar and stuff like that. But before we move on, there's a guy called Eve Toof. He said, vinyl is already big here, but I do agree that the scene needs to be saved. Eve, the scene doesn't need to be saved. The scene is great already, whether they are using vinyl or CD player or cassette tape or even instruments. What saved? Why are you saying saved? The scene is great. Lebanon is great. Lebanon is on the map, and no one can say the opposite. Okay? No one should save us because we're not drowned. We're not fucked up. We're a very good scene. Even if you go to Sri Lanka, okay, or if you go to Sudan, or if you go to Berlin, or if you go to Australia, all these countries are great in the scenes they offer. Okay? There is no one scene for all. If you do not like traditional Sri Lankan music, it doesn't mean that you're superior. No. People there, they love it, and they have their own scene. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what music style or technology, it doesn't matter anything. What matters is that people who are living in their own territory, experiencing their own shit, are happy or not. If they're not, you must find out why they're not happy about it. Is it because they're using vinyl? Is it because they're using cassette tapes? Is it because they don't have good producers? Is it that because the instruments are obsolete? You have to think of these things. It's not about showing muscles if I can use this technology or that technology. And let me tell you a secret. All these things you see in my studio, for my own fucking production, I don't use them. I only use a keyboard and a mouse and few controllers and few synthesizers out of all the things I have. It doesn't mean if I have a lot of things or if you're having 8 decks on the stage, you can do a better mix than a 5-year-old kid who's pressing on sync. It doesn't matter, okay? So what matters is the outcome, what people are hearing, what people are experiencing, and what's your input, what's your output, okay? What do you give? What changes do you make in those people's lives, okay? Anyway, you guys, let's move to Sam Hanna. Sam Hanna, how some DJs shift to a complete different genre by following trends. Some trends are trends. It doesn't matter what you play, it doesn't matter how you play, it doesn't matter who you are. What matters again and again, what matters is the crowd. If you know how to move the crowd, make them dance, and make them order more alcohol, that's when you are someone appreciated by the club owner. Unless you're running your own gigs, it would be different. Trends, yes, I know what you mean, man. Like, you have styles that, like last time someone came to me, he was like, I'm into Tribeca. So I was like, what's Tribeca? I've never heard of this style. It was like, it's tribal with trance, it's Arabic trance, something like that. So I was like, I've never heard of this style before. So styles, as I said in the beginning of my session, don't arrange your music files in folders that are named after styles, because styles, they can come and go. Styles can be merged together. Because of the technology now, and because of too many softwares, too many people having easy access to production, merging styles together, you don't have really a style. I said my track on Bedrock on John Digwood's label was Chill Out on one place on Beatport. It was Tech House on DJ Download. It was Progressive House on another online store, and it was Electronica on another store. So you cannot really know what style. There is no style anymore. There is only good music, or movie music, or bad music. Basically, bad music, there is nothing called bad music. Bad music is a fallacy, okay? Bad music is, what do you call it? One second. I forgot the name of it. It's like, conditional love is an oxymoron, okay? So bad music is an oxymoron. It's like conditional love is an oxymoron. You cannot love if you have conditions, and you cannot say this is music, it's bad music. So bad music is only noise, you know. Dubstep, for example, with meow, wow, wow, something like that, with all due respect to people loving dubstep, this is not music, this is noise. But some of the some dubstep tracks are really musical, yes. But again, it's an oxymoron if you say conditional love. Love is never conditional. You cannot love someone if you say, I love you, but I have a condition, 1, 2, 3. That's not love, okay? Love is when you fully accept someone, and when you have zero condition with this someone, and when you do not accept anything in return. When you love, when you give, when you love, that's when you, that's the very act of loving someone without any condition is beneficial to you. It's you don't have to have anything tangible from your lover so that you know, okay, I loved you, you have to love me back. And that's not love, and that's not music if you say bad music. Anyway, let's move to something else. Eli Ashar is asking, do you think is it possible to introduce a new sound or a genre to a club? How hard is it to try that? It's not. Why? It's always possible to introduce new styles, and maybe that style is something you created, who knows. But again and again and again, when you play for a crowd, you're not playing for your mirror. If you want to play for yourself, go home, get a GoPro, shoot a mix, post it online. That's it. Music is taste. Some people might like you, some people might not like you. It's about you touching people in their deepest depths. So if you play some kind of music that I do not like, it doesn't mean your music is bad, no. But maybe some other people will like your music. So you will be kind of interacting with the people who are identified with the sound that you're playing. And those other people who do not like your sound, I'm really sure, and I can tell you this, those do not look like you. You cannot be friends with those people because they do not share the same, you know, you're not connected on a deep level. So there's no good and bad music. I do not believe in this. There's only taste. And for example, my album, it got into the top 58 worldwide, Dunya album, 2015-16. Many people do not like it because they do not like this style. It doesn't mean my album is bad or good. You know, it's a style, because when you produce something, when you play something as a DJ, sorry guys, when you play something as a DJ also, you are kind of trying to express yourself through the sound that you're playing or through the sound that you're producing. And this is when you make friends, this is when you make fans, this is when you make more connections with people in the business as well to hire you to play in other places, etc., etc., etc. So don't worry, Eli. You can always introduce new sound if you feel that this sound can fit in this place, because otherwise this place is not for you to show your muscles. Again, I say this place is for you to play music for the crowd, to make business. You as a DJ, you're doing business for the club, okay? So if you are there to actually just show your muscles or show what you like, you can do it online, you can do it in your bedroom, and you can attract people everywhere who like your music. When you are playing for a crowd, you should understand the theme of the place, you should understand the rules of the place. Not rules as in music, but you should really focus on understanding the crowd, the age, the theme, etc., so that you can make more business with the place. Otherwise, you will be playing in a private gig, or you will be launching your own event where you can play your own sound, and people who like you will follow you. People who don't like you, fuck them, they can go somewhere else. But again, let me go back to another question that is linked to your question, Elim. Or let's go to Ryan Akiki, the usual fan of this show. How does vocal auto-tune work? How can it be used for live performance? Auto-tune is a software, and there is another software called what is it called? I have it. It's called Melodyne. Okay, those softwares, they correct the pitch, and they do some pitch correction and some auto-tuning to your voice. Actually, you don't use a software that much when you're playing live. Use a hardware. What is it called? Tascam? No, not Tascam. TC Helicon Voice Live. It's a very beautiful machine. I have one, by the way. Here, it's not from the same brand. It's from London. It's called Voice Changer. Some of these equipment, they can do pitch correction. So if you're going off key, because you have to determine what key you're singing. If you go off key, they can do some correction to your key live on stage. And some of them, they have presets to do doubling and to do chorus and to do phasing, etc. Those are really, really interesting. But again, I tell you, Ryan, how does it work? It works when you lock yourself in a key. It's like mixed in key. It detects the key of the vocal, because key is based on frequencies. It's all math, by the way. It's all math, frequency numbers, etc. So if you have, for example, a C major key, you have a C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Those are only the 7 notes available in C major key. And each of those notes, it represents a certain frequency range. Okay, so when your vocal that is being analyzed by the software moves off key, it means it's hitting some frequency that is not related to those 7 notes. It automatically does the pitch correction. So it moves it to the closest note. And that's a very easy but advanced technology, because it works on the binary. It analyzes the frequencies, because now computers are very fast and they're very, very smart. So based on frequencies and based on those voltages and based on all the characteristics of the wave shape and how the transients are drawn, or how you're recording your vocal, etc. Those things are analyzed by the software in a super fast way, and they are kind of matched with the key you're working with. So if you're locking yourself in C major and you're singing on some note on C sharp, which is not included in C major, automatically the auto-tune will take your C sharp note or voice and it will bring it down to either C or to either D, which makes it harmonic. So what do we have also? We have big promoters are ruining the scene with cheesy lineup. Okay, so guys, I'm done with the questions, by the way. I'm done with the questions I wanted to answer directly, and I left 4 questions because I bundled them together. Okay, they wanted to know the same thing. It's the same topic. Let me read the question first, and please Stay with me because this is very important. Meanwhile, again, because it's the 20th episode of G.GOES Live, give me a small gift by sharing this video so that we can have more interaction. It's one click, you know, this is, here it is, one click, share it so that we have more engagement, and this is very important. Look, Jad Mattar asked me, that was the second question I postponed. He asked me how the Lebanese nightlife scene has hit rock bottom with this bazaar mix everything trend without actually mixing anything. It's like a genre now, especially when you get approached by people saying, sorry, ma btilab bazaar. It means you don't play bazaar. Bazaar, by the way, it's for people who don't know, bazaar is a new style or new trend in Lebanon that when they play Arabic music in places that have nothing to do with Arabic music, and slap, shi bazaar al ikhir, excuse my French. That was one. The second one was coming from Roland Bouzakhem. He said you should do a live gathering with the people who are the real music lovers on the scene and who were there since the very early days to discuss how the scene evolved throughout the years to become what it is today. Personally, I'm very negative about the scene here nowadays, so it would be nice to have people who have different views and discuss it on camera. Would it be nice to have ravers, promoters, as well as DJs like Nesta, etc., etc., etc. That was the second. And in a comment, Roland said, I watched the live broadcast of Nesta and Madjam, and yes, they did discuss it only with you, etc. He wants me to share the negative side of the industry. Okay, so again, between bracket, the negative. The last one also, which I postponed and bundled with this, is coming from Eve Tuf. Talk about how the big promoters are ruining the scene with cheesy lineups, how arrogant they have become, and how destructive it is to music culture. I want you to understand one thing because you're asking me, okay? You're asking me, and I have to answer from my own point of view. Stop being negative. That's the introduction of my answer. You don't like bazaar music. You don't like some styles. You don't like this and that. You don't like some promoters. You don't like some DJs. You're always negative about it, which is okay. But if you're asking me and my personal opinion, I would answer in the with the following. Now, just allow me to tell you something related to us as human beings and to music as well and to society or whatever. It's a summary of everything, actually. If you think negatively about the scene, first of all, there's no one scene for all. Okay? There's no one style for all. You said Lebanese scene. I disagree. In Lebanon, you have so many people liking different styles of music. You have so many places targeting different types of people, different types of music. You have people enjoying this style, not that style, etc., etc., etc. Now, before I answer you, because you asked me, I'm answering in a subjective way later, but objectively speaking now, / subjectively in my own opinion and my own view about this, if you look at things in this way, you are going to be limited with how you see things in life, okay? If you do not like bazaar, which is people nowadays playing Arabic music and stuff like that, it's up to you. You're fine. No one is putting a gun in your head and telling you go to this club and enjoy your time. No, you might like some other places. But if we look at the substantial essence of us as human beings, I'm a believer in duality, okay? If there is no light, or if there is no darkness, there is no light. If there is no hate, there is no love. If there is no black, there is no white. If there is no woman, there is no man. If there is no evil, there is no good, etc., etc., etc. This is the duality we live in, by the way. This is the originality of us as human beings, and this is the code of life, okay? The code of life, the code of the cosmos is duality. Now, if you don't like some style, instead of opposing this style, I advise you or invite you to look at things in a different way. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, if you are telling me negative comments about something called bazaar night, or DJs playing Arabic music in the middle of an electronic dance music set or whatever, my own reply to you: go back to essence. Go back to who you are as a human being, not as who you are as the false self, as the mind, the ego, the thoughts, the imaginations and the quarrels of all the things that are happening inside your brain. You're not your ID, you're not your brain, you're not your thoughts, you're not your false self. There's a true self inside of you. There's you, and you are an individuation of the one whole spirit. Some people call it God, some people call it Allah, some people call it Jesus, some people call it etc., 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 Buddha, etc. I don't know. There is a divinity, and you are part of it. You are an individuation of it. That's my own opinion, of course. And how I see things is that without the duality, there's no life. Without black, there is no white. Without darkness, there is no light, etc. I advise you and invite you at the same time to change your perception, to change the way you look at things. Because bazaar nights or this or that you are just giving bad comments about, which I respect, are there, whether you like it or no. And you have the choice now. It's either you accept this fully, appreciate this fully, and take it by heart, or oppose it by mind, thoughts, ego, and go against it and start posting negative stuff about it. It's your choice. And both choices are appreciated by me and should be appreciated by everyone. That's not the case, but I'm just giving you an invitation. If you accept the bazaar night and understand it, and if you just take it in and appreciate it and look at it in a different way. Which way? Now, if you are saying something against bazaar night, it means you like the complete opposite. Am I right or no? I'm asking Roland or whoever asked. If you are so much attached to the opposite style, which is your own choice, which is something I and everyone should accept, this is your own view about it, you would have never, ever understood how you like underground music and how you are evolved with it and how you are attracted and attached and how you are so into it without the complete opposite of it. That's my way of seeing things in life. We're talking now a bit of spirituality or philosophy or whatever. Take it as however you want. By my honest opinion and honest answer to you. You are an individuation of the whole, okay? We are all like one, Okay, I'm one with you, you're one with the criminal, and the criminal is one with Jesus, and Jesus is one with Muhammad, and Muhammad is one with Buddha, and Buddha is one with Allah, and Allah, even if the name exists or no, that's another subject. But we are all individuations of the divinity of this universe. Whether it's through music, whether it's through writing, whether it's through art, whether it's through you being a human or an animal or whatever. If you don't like something, what does it mean? It means you like the opposite, right? Maybe or maybe not. But ask yourself a question at that point. If Bazaar Night doesn't exist, would you be so attached to techno or to underground? That's an exclamation mark. Because life is about duality, okay? It's about balance. If there's no this, there's no that. If there's no Bazaar Night, there's no underground night that is interesting to you, okay? So my invitation to you is to change the way you look at things, because when you do that, you start seeing things in a different way. And it's something that is not going to change anything in reality, because people are enjoying the Bazaar Night. You cannot demolish those people. I've never been into those places, and I personally don't like Arabic music and hashik bishik and notto jinno, etc. Those are, to me, personally, in front of my own mirror, those are things that are not really something I like. But that's only a preference. And why do I love the Bazaar Night to be there out in the universe? Because it makes me attached to what I like, which is different, okay? If there was no Bazaar Night and no disowned ideas about something that I don't like and hate, there will never be attachment to what I like. That's how I see things. So, again, I tell you, you guys, if you change the way you look at these things, really, it's just a choice. You are not going to stop the Bazaar Night, because some people there are really, really enjoying the music. And music is about taste. It's not about how good it is or how bad it is. Music is taste. You can produce shitty music to other people, but to you it's amazing, and to other people it is amazing. So if you are not identified with a certain style, it doesn't mean that this style doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean that this style is not identified by other people, and it doesn't mean that this style is bad or good or etc. There's no right or wrong. There's no bad or not bad. There's nothing like this. There is only is. It's just the way it is. Bazaar Night is a Bazaar Night. Techno is techno. Underground is underground. House music is house music. Chill out is chill out. And again, I tell you, some people like dabke. You know the dabke? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I hate it, but it doesn't mean I have to stop it. Because those people enjoying this music will never be enjoying my music, which is a must for me to appreciate what I like, and it's a must for them to appreciate what they like. And both of us having different opinions about music, we make the whole, okay? Because we're part of the whole. We're part of this whole thing, the complete thing, which is the divinity. If there is no this, there is no that. I'm a true believer in duality. I respect and accept and love everything by others, whether it's something I do not like or something I like. That's not the point. The point is that it is a part of duality, a part of life, a part of the universe, a part of everything. None, not you, not me, can cancel this. No one can go against it. No one can stop it. It's there. It's your choice. You have a choice to accept it and take it in, or you have a choice to object it and oppose it. Now let me tell you something. Both ways are going to go into the same result. Bazaar Night is still going on. Now, who's losing and who's winning? If you accept it fully with a big heart, you are evolving spiritually, you are accepting this, still having the opinion of not liking it. But if you oppose it and you write me these messages, which I really appreciate, and I love to have such messages and engagements, but that was only an advice and an invitation. You can take it in or refuse it, which I also accept. But I'm telling you, you guys, if you are negative about this scene, which I do not like, by the way, the only one who's not gaining is you. No one else. The only one who's stressing out because of it is you. Those nights are not going to stop, and your opinion is not going to change anything. It's just you putting so much negative energy out there, and those energies that you're putting out there are backfiring at you. If you are not aware of this play and dance with the universe, I don't think, actually, I wish that the universe will give you the opportunity to be evolved through more experiences in your life, where you can be sure that there is a dance between you and the universe. If you put out so much negative opinion and negative energy towards something, I don't know how you as a human being evolve through love. That's not love, that's hate. By the way, the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear, okay? So what I'm telling you is, keep the fear out of your life, accept everything, take it in. If you don't like Bazaar, just don't go buy a ticket and go there. Leave the people alone, because they don't like you also. They don't like techno, they don't like the underground, they don't like trance, they don't like hip-hop. We can't say, we don't have one scene in a country. There are many scenes, and if you like techno, it doesn't mean you represent Lebanon. No, they also represent Lebanon, and the other people and people not going into nightclubs at all. People from the villages who dance to traditional music, they are also representing the scene. You know, Omar Sulaiman, he's playing festivals in Europe, techno festivals. He remixed Björk. He's a guy who sings in traditional Syrian weddings. And now the guy he has vinyls, and he doesn't know this. Me, as someone who has seen this and that, I can tell you that people who are witnessing Omar Sulaiman, they don't know what this is about. They don't know about the traditional Syrian weddings. They don't know what we know. They think it's a new trend in techno. And him performing to thousands of people, he thinks that he is performing. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how this is going. He thinks people know about the traditional thing. They don't. So it's like, it's a kind of putting things out there. People who like it will merge with it. People who don't like it will not merge with it. And this is a blessing by itself, because it is the duality that I believe in. The yin-yang, stuff like that. But I'm telling you again, the scene is not represented by one style. The scene is not represented by one guy, promoter. Some people talk to me about promoters. The scene is not represented by a country or a style of music or a BPM or a synthesizer or whatever. It's all about the differences we all have as human beings. If there is no difference between me and you will never appreciate who you are, and I will not appreciate who I am. If I don't like you driving a BMW, I would never appreciate my Peugeot, for example. That's the duality of life. So my invitation for you, so to be respectful, is to not oppose and be negative about anything in music, because some people are really enjoying that. And if they are enjoying that, it means something to them. It doesn't mean something to you, because your music also doesn't mean anything to them. You cannot cancel them. They cannot cancel you. You all form a part of the whole, and without you, the whole is not complete. Without them, the whole is not complete. So, you guys, I really enjoyed this episode with you. This was the 20th episode of G.GOES Live. Meanwhile, stay good and be safe. I'm sending you all my love from Per-vurt DJ and Music Production School in Beirut. Giving you all my blessing, all my kisses, all my hugs, and I'll see you next week.